The figure of Nelson Mandela frames two very different historical periods. The beginning of the armed struggle in 1960 and majority rule in 1994. Most of that period, from the Rivonia trial in 1963-64 to his release from prison in the early 90s, Mandela was in jail. But a sea change took place in that period. What happened to explain that sea change? That change was brought about by the youth, a younger generation that came to the fore in the 1970s. The background was Sharpeville, 1960, which led to the decision in the liberation movements that apartheid could only be fought through an armed struggle. The ANC set about organizing an apparatus for an armed struggle known as Umkhonto wa Sizwe, MK, the spear of the nation. But the consequences of the armed struggle were unexpected. Socially, the young, the brave, the active went into exile for training. The communities, townships of South Africa were suddenly without the mobilizing energy which we associate with the youth who left. It was a period of silence in public affairs, relative silence. Economically, there was the entry of foreign capital, and it was a period of economic advance. Politically, the old apartheid style of politics got entrenched inside the country. By the old apartheid style of politics, I mean people mobilized according to race and tribe. In other words, mobilized according to how the government had defined them. In the rural areas, to each tribe its own district, its own Bantustan. In the urban areas, the population divided by races, whites, coloreds, Indians, Africans, organized as the African National Congress, the Natal Indian Congress, the Colored People's Congress, Congress of Democrats. These separate, racially demarcated resistance groups came together under the Congress Alliance. It was a perfect example of fragmentation, of divide and rule. A hand, no longer a clenched fist, but spread out, so many fingers. The mode of governance which had been introduced by colonialism was perfected by apartheid. It had become so naturalized that even resistance mimicked apartheid. Mandela returned to South Africa and was put on trial at Rivonia, 1963-64. He was arrested, prosecuted, and jailed for a long 27 years. Over the 2 decades and more that followed the Rivonia trial of 1963-64, there was a sea change in South African politics. The single most important motive force making for this change was not the armed struggle. It was not exile politics, and it was not the international boycott movement. That force was provided by student activists of all colors. The new situation, after the leadership of liberation movements had moved out to organize an armed struggle of their own, the new situation found the township youth on their own feet, and they took direct action. Direct action by students was a response to what had become evident to the younger generation, that the armed struggle was a propaganda weapon at best and an empty boast at worst. Direct action developed out of student attempts to organize their own ranks by themselves against apartheid. The opening initiative were attempts to reach out across the color boundary. The liberal wing of the white student movement, the National Union of South African Students, NUSAS, decided to admit black students within its own ranks. But this initiative did not work. Black students concluded that even if anti-apartheid students had a common goal, a non-racial South Africa, black students would have to break free of white paternalism and organize separately outside the structure of white hegemony and paternalism. This separate organization was SASO, the South African Students' Organization, out of which grew the Black Consciousness Movement. Black Consciousness, or BC, was a mobilization with a difference. BC organized blacks separately, but it changed the meaning of black. It politicized the meaning of black. Black, said Steve Biko, is not a color. Black is an experience. If you are oppressed, you are black. BC included in its ranks what had been defined as African, Indian, and colored students. It was a historical break with the mindset of apartheid. By the beginning of the 1970s, instead of 4 racially separate youth organizations, white, Indian, colored, and African, you had 2 separately organized anti-apartheid student groups, white and black. Disenchanted with paternalism, black youth decided to organize themselves, separate and equal. Now separate as black and white youth, each group looked out for allies within society. Black youth moved to township-based resident labor, and white youth moved to hostel-based migrant labor on the fringe of townships. The social peace enforced by apartheid during the 1960s was breached spectacularly in the 1970s by 2 separate sets of developments. The first was a strike movement which began in Durban in 1973, then spread to the Cape and to the Rand. White radical students played a catalytic role in this development. Their numbers were few, but they provided strategic leadership in the fast expanding independent unions of the late 1970s and the early 1980s. A few years after the 1973 Durban strikes came the uprising known as Soweto, 1976. Its core organizers were black student youth, inspiring a generation of struggle, leading to community organizing and community-based resistance. The significance of Soweto was threefold. 1, it shifted initiative from professional revolutionaries in exile to community-based activists. Second, it shifted the focus from armed struggle to direct action. The youth of Soweto had no more than stones to throw at gun-toting police. In both these respects, Soweto evokes the first intifada in Palestine. And thirdly, Soweto signaled a vast shift in popular political perspective. Direct popular action broke the stalemate with apartheid. The 2 sections of student activists organized the workplace and the community. white students marching under the banner of non-racial unionism, and black students under black consciousness. This new generation of youth soon found its way inside the South African prison system, including Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela had been locked up for years. It was from Winnie that Nelson got his first hint about what was different about this new generation of youthful militants. I would like to turn to Mandela's account from his book, Long Walk to Freedom. On a visit with Winnie a few months before, she had managed to tell me through our coded conversation that there was a rising class of discontented youths who were militant and Africanist in orientation. She said they were changing the nature of the struggle and that I should be aware of that. And of course, soon Mandela encountered these youths in prison. Listen to Mandela's account of his first prison encounter with the youth of Soweto. Quote, in September, the isolation section was filled with young men who had been arrested in the aftermath of the uprising. These young men were a different breed of prisoner from those we had seen before. They were brave, hostile, and aggressive. They would not take orders and shouted Amanda at every opportunity. Their instinct was to confront rather than to cooperate. The authorities did not know how to handle them, and they turned the island upside down. Mandela continues. Shortly after their arrival on the island, the commanding officer came to me and asked me as a favor to address the young men. He wanted me to tell them to restrain themselves, to recognize the fact that they were in prison, and to accept the discipline of prison life. I told him that I was not prepared to do that. Under the circumstances, they would have regarded me as a collaborator of the oppressor. These fellows refused to conform to even basic prison regulations. One day, I was at the head office, conferring with the commanding officer. As I was walking out with the major, we came upon a young prisoner being interviewed by a prison official. The young man, who was no more than 18, was wearing his prison cap in the presence of senior officers, a violation of regulations. Nor did he stand up when the major entered the room, another violation. The major looked at him and said, "Please take off your cap." The prisoner ignored him. Then in an irritated tone, the major said, "Take off your cap." The prisoner turned and looked at the major and said, "What for?" I could hardly believe what I had just heard. It was a revolutionary question. What for? The major also seemed taken aback, but managed to reply. "It is against regulations," he said. The young prisoner responded, "Why do you have this regulation? What is the purpose of it?" This questioning on the part of the prisoner was too much for the major, and he stomped out of the room, saying, "Mandela, you talk to him." But I would not intervene on his behalf. He simply bowed in the direction of the prisoner to let him know that I was on his side. You can see that the encounter with the young was, more than anything else, a profoundly learning experience for Mandela. What stands out is his admiration for the audacity of youth and its refusal to take for granted what to the older generation appeared as facts on the ground. At the same time, the link between youthful activists and the older generation, between activism and experience, was forged in prison. The credit for that goes to the two persons who symbolize the wisdom of experience and audacity born of youthful impatience: Nelson Mandela and Steve Biko. And that is the challenge to our young generation today, not to break the line of life, not to be cut off from wisdom and experience, but to join in a single line of life and to bring your youthful activism to change a situation which the older generation seems to have taken for granted. Thank you.